Alright, this is LSAT PrepTest 18 from December 1992, Section 1, questions 14 through 19, which is the third logic game of this section. Okay, so let's read. Greenberg has exactly 5 subway lines, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. Along each of the lines, trains run in both directions, stopping at every station. Okay, so that's reasonably straightforward. Okay, so L1 runs in a loop containing exactly 7 stations, the order being Rincon, Tonka, French, or R, T, F, S, U, Q, P, and R in one direction, reversing the other. Okay, so I'm actually just going to follow their directions, right? I'm going to say, okay, L1 links R, T, F, S, U, Q, P, back to R in one direction and the opposite the other direction. Okay, this is L1. Okay, let's use a different color for these other ones. L2 connects Tonka with some plane and no other station. So T to S. This is L2. Actually, let's actually keep these out of our diagram to make it cleaner. But black is L1. Dark blue is L2. Let's make L3 green. L3 connects R with U and no other station. R and U. So this is L3. Let's use red for L4. L4. Oh, let's use orange. From Q through exactly one other station, G to R. Ah, so they give us a new station. So from Q to R through G. Right, and this is L4. And then let's use brown for L5. L5 connects Q with T and no other station. Okay, so Q, T, L5. Okay, so this actually just looks like a spatial game, right? Like basically they give you this network of subway lines. Like there's 5 subway lines here, and you have to figure out basically how to traverse them in some way, shape, or form is what I'm guessing. Okay, so I mean this is all there is to this game. So we can even just bracket this off for now, and we can refer to this. But other than that, there's no deductions to be made here. This just is what it is, right? Okay, so let's start with question 14. Question 14 asks, how many different stations are there that a traveler starting at R could reach by using the subway lines without making any intermediate stops? Okay, so basically, how many other subway stations can you get to without anything in between? So here's one, R to P, right? RP is 1, R to T is 2, R to U is 3, R also goes to G, and that's it, right? Like anything other than these immediate 4 surrounding stations, and you're gonna have to go through somewhere to get somewhere else, right? For example, like R and Q, you do have to go through G or P in order to get to Q, right? So 4 is the answer to this question, and that's answer choice C. Okay, how about 15? In order to go from G to S, taking the fewest possible subway lines and making the fewest possible stops, the traveler must make a stop at. Okay, so question 15 wants us to get from G to U, right? In the fewest possible, or G to S, I'm sorry, G to S, making the fewest possible stops. Okay, so let's think about how we could get there, right? So if you start from G, you can go from Q to U to S, right? That makes 2 stops between G and S. Or you can go from G to R to T to S, right? That's another 2 stops. Or to G to R down to U and then S, and that's another 2 stops. Or what's another way we can get there? I don't see one. Oh, there is another one. G to Q to T to S, right? So there's a lot of ways to get there, right? But the trick of it is that not only do you have to make the least amount of stops, you also have to take the least amount of subway lines, and that really cuts it down. So for example, from let's actually just write some of these down, like G to Q to U to S, right? That's this one. Or maybe G to R to U to S, right? Or maybe G to R to T to S, or maybe G to Q to T to S, right? All of these are ways that we can get from G to S in the same number of stops. But look what we have here, right? G to Q, right, is 1 line, but then Q to T is the 2nd line, and T to S is the 3rd line, right? So there are actually 3 lines being used here. 3 lines, 4 stops, right? How about G to R to T to S? G to R is 1 line, R to T is a 2nd line, and T to S is a 3rd line. So this is exactly the same. 3 lines, 4 stops, right? How about G to R to U to S? G to R is 1 line, R to U is the 2nd line, U to S is the 3rd line. So once again, 3 lines, 4 stops. But then how about this one? G to Q, Q to U, Q to S. Now we only have 2 lines. 2 lines and 4 stops, right? And so you see the importance of reading the question, right? Because the question, if all you caught of it is that you have to take the least amount of stops, there's a lot of different ways to get there in 4 stops. The question is how you do it with the least amount of lines, right? And so this one is clearly the winner here. You can't do it in 1 line, right? Because you have to transfer from this orange line to any other line. But I mean, like the difference is that this black line actually takes you the other 2 legs of the way here, right? And so the answer here is that in order to get here with the shortest amount of lines, you have to go through Q and then you have to go through U, right? And so which one of those is an answer? Actually, the answer choice here is answer choice C. And why is that? Because answer choice C, it tells you that you have to go through Q. And that is correct, right? Because if you don't go through Q, you have to go through R. If you go through R, either you take 1 line all the way around, or you have to take a second line, right? And neither of those things is something that we want, right? So answer choice C is the answer to question 15. How about question 16? If L3 is not running, okay, so now we no longer have this green line, okay? And a traveler goes by subway from U to R, making the fewest possible stops, which the following lists all the intermediate stations in sequence along one of the routes that the traveler could take. Okay, so this one I think is actually worth writing out because it makes it just really easy to see. QPG, this SFT. It just makes it really easy to see, right? So we don't have this green line anymore, and we want to get from U to R, right? So U to R, can we go from U to Q, and then Q to T, and then T to R? Yeah, we can do that, right? U to Q to T to R. Sure. Can we go U, S, F, R? No, we're missing something in the middle, right? Answer choice B is not correct. How about U, S, P? We can't even get from S to P. There's no way, right? How about U to Q to P to G, right? This part of it right here, we can't get from P to G, so there's no way we can get to R from there. And how about S, F, and T? So from U to S, S to F, F to T, and T to R. Okay. I mean, that does get us there, right? But look, up here, once again, the importance of reading the question is that they not only do they want you to get there, they want you to get there in the fewest stops. So here, this is 2 stops. Here, this is 3 stops. So answer choice E does not represent the one with the fewest stops. Answer choice A does. So answer choice A is the answer to this question. Alright, let's go ahead and get rid of all this stuff and talk about the next question. Question 17. Question 17 asks us, in order to go by subway from F to G, the minimum number of intermediate stops you must make is. Okay, so basically we want to go from F to G, and we want to know the smallest number of stops we can take to get there. Okay, so how can we do this? F, T, R, G, right? And they want the number of intermediate stops, right? So that's 2. Maybe F, S, U, Q, G, right? Intermediate stops here is 3. But I mean, like really, like once you start taking the long ways around, that's just completely irrelevant. The question here is, can we get less than 2? In other words, can we go from F to somewhere to G? And the answer to that question is no, right? Because the only 2 stations that F goes to are T and S, right? Both of which are at least 1 away from G, right? So F, T, R, G, or F, S, U, Q, G, or maybe F, T, Q, G is another way. F, T, Q, and G, right? So once again, this is 2. Right, so once again, we've matched our lowest, but we're never able to break it. So it turns out that 2, you have to make at least 2 stops between F and G if you want to get from one to the other. So that's answer choice C here, right? Okay. Question 18. In order to go from if the tracks that directly connect U and Q are blocked in both directions, so now we don't have this thing. So I'm actually just going to make a copy here through the wonders of technology, paste it over here. And then we get to delete this, right? So now L1 is no longer a loop. Okay, so if it's blocked in both directions, the traveler going from S to P, making the fewest possible intermediate stops must pass through. Okay, so we want to go from here to here, right? So I mean, obviously the easy way to do it before would have just been to go clockwise here, right? But then now we have to think about the ways that we can get there. Okay, so the first thing that immediately comes to mind is, well, S goes to T, right? So S, T, and then R, and then P. Okay, so that's one way, right, through TR here. What are some other ways? Well, you can go from S to T, and you can take T to Q, and you can also get to P, right? S to T to Q to P. That works. But Going through F would take too long, right? Because F just leads you back to T, in which case you might as well just skip it and go straight to T. Right? So that takes care of this line, that takes care of this line. How about this line? Right? If you start with S and you go to U, what are the possibilities here? Right? If you go to U, then you can head straight up to R and then to P. Right? Or you can go S to U to R, but then if you go to like G, then you're just taking a long way around. If you go to T, you're just, you know, stupid because you're going the wrong direction. So it turns out that these are the three ways that we can get from S to P, assuming that Q and U aren't connected, right? Through TR, through TQ, or through UR. Okay, so now looking at the answer choices, what are the following? What do we have to pass through? Do we have to pass through F or T? No, we don't have to pass through F or T here. Answer choice A is not right. How about B, G or U? We don't have to pass through G or U in either of these first two cases, so no, forget it. How about C, Q or T? That expresses this one. You could pass through here, but you don't have to pass through Q or T, right? You pass through T here, you pass through T here, but you don't pass through either Q or T in this third one, right? And if you don't see this, then this is a very tempting answer choice. But you have to, you know, once you exhaust all the possibilities, then you know for sure that you don't have to pass through Q or T. How about D, Q or U or both? This first one just completely torpedoes that, because you don't have to go through Q or U. How about E, R or T or both? R or T, here's a T, and here's a R. You have to go through at least one of R or T in order to make this work. So answer choice E is going to be the answer here. Okay, home stretch. Question 19. If a sixth subway line is to be constructed so that all of the stations would have two or more lines reaching them, the stations connected by the new subway lines must include at least. Okay, so here's what we have. We want to have a new line so that every station that doesn't already have two lines coming out of it has at least two lines coming out of it, right? Okay. So what does that mean? It means that, like, for example, look up here, right? You see that T actually has three lines coming out of it, right? It has L1, it has L5, and it has L2, right? S is the same way. It has L2, and it also has L1. And in fact, all of these stations, with the exception of G, have L1, right? So let's actually make a list of the ones where we don't have more than one line. It's not actually very hard, right? Especially if we've color coded like this. All we have to do is look for the stations that don't have two colors coming out of them, right? So I mean, let's actually just R, T, F, S, U, Q, and P. Let's actually just cross out the ones that have more than one color, right? Starting with R, there's 1, 2, 3 colors coming out of R, so forget it. How about T? There's 1, 2, 3 colors coming out of T, so forget it. How about F? Oh, there's only one color coming out of F. So F is definitely a line that we need to connect up with the second line. How about S? 1, 2, get rid of it. How about U? 1, 2, get rid of it. How about Q? Q has 1, 2, 3 colors coming out of it, so forget it. And then finally, how about P? P only has one line. So that's definitely got to be it. And I actually left out a station. Oops, that's my fault. How about G? G is not connected to the L1 loop, but it does only have one. It is only, you know, one line coming out of it. It's the same line coming out in both directions. So G also has to be connected up with a second line. Okay, so F, P, and G. Which answer choice is that? That's answer choice A. Okay, and there's your game. That's a spatial reasoning game. No deductions to be made here. Just, you know, following the web and see where it leads.